friends. The last time I filmed, I was in, I guess, like the beginnings of an autistic burnout, the beginnings of recognizing a burnout, and now I'm just coming out of that. Like, I'm just starting to reintroduce things into my life that I had kind of taken off my plate for a little while. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that experience, but in order to make it a bit less of a downer, I'm gonna do my makeup while I talk about it. I feel like if you've been like consuming like almost any sort of media in the last has it been 5 years that burnout has been? I feel like it's increased over COVID, but I feel like burnout has been like a hot topic for a while. And autistic burnout is like, it's not altogether different, but I think there are very specific things that are more likely to happen to an autistic person in burnout as opposed to an allistic person in burnout. It's not to say it can never happen to an allistic person, but one thing I notice, or at least something I've noticed in retrospect, is loss of skills. So for example, I went through a pretty intense period of burnout after my father died, which was, God, I think almost 7 years ago right now. That's absolutely wild. But up until that point, I was the main cook in the household of my partner and I. And then like all of a sudden I wasn't. Like, I just found I couldn't bring myself to do that anymore. And I thought I was like, oh, I'm depressed, I'm grieving. But it was more than that, because I never took on that role again. So I don't want to say that I lost that skill permanently, but like, I was never the same after that. And like, I sort of realized that after I was diagnosed, I realized there are things that I thought were just things that I thought were depressive episodes that were in fact periods of burnout. Because I would go through these periods and then I'd be like, what's wrong with, like, I feel like they impacted me in some like irreparable way that I was not coming back from. And that seemed like something beyond depression, but I didn't know what to call it at the time. So in the last year or so, a lot has happened. There's a part-time job I took on for a little more than a year. And after we moved further outside of the city, I left that job partially because it wasn't worth it anymore, like financially, mentally. It was an okay job, it just wasn't like worth it for me and like for us as like a couple or as like a family. Beyond the mental stuff, I was also dealing with some like physical issues. I've been dealing with the doctors and physiotherapists say it's runner's knee, which sounds like such a chill, innocuous thing, but it's like, there were times when the pain was really intense and like hard to escape from. So that made it really hard and prevented me from doing certain things that I wanted to do. And there was that in like combination with all the mental and emotional stuff, and it got to be too much. And I realized that I was in a period of burnout, and I think It's just like one of the first times that I've been able to recognize burnout as such while I've been in it. So one thing I've done is I've started going to therapy again because before my autism diagnosis almost 2 years ago now, I broke up with my previous therapist, which there was like nothing wrong with her. It just so happened that I think that I was exploring autism, and I was just kind of in a period where I was like, I feel like I need to like sort out some stuff on my own and figure out what I actually need out of therapy. And then I get in like these phases where I have all these like big plans of like what I'm gonna do next, and I thought like I'm gonna go back to being like a writer. Like I'm really gonna go back to that. And I realized very quickly that I think there was a burnout that had been building from like that part-time and like all this other stuff that had been happening. And I think I was under the impression that leaving that part-time job would just like make room for me to like flourish again. And it didn't. And things went downhill very quickly. And then like when I was in burnout, I kind of knew I needed a therapist again, but then that seemed really daunting. So I had a couple friends help me out. I found someone. I've now been seeing her for several weeks now. It's going well. And I've slowly started to take things back onto my plate. So it's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know, I'm learning as I go how to deal with this, because I know that I didn't handle my burnout well in the past, because I was always so like focused on coming back to something. Like I need to feel better so I can do X, instead of like I need to feel better for myself. I need to feel better for the sake of feeling better. I don't know if what I'm trying to do in my eyes is gonna work at all. So yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like very much just learning as I go. And that has been a challenge, to say the least. But I'm really proud of myself, which I think is important in and of itself, because I'm somebody who has very much gotten caught up in I think it's called the arrival fallacy. So like as soon as X happens, then I will have arrived. Like I'll be good. And for me, it's like things like, oh, as soon as I've like published a book, or like this magazine accepts me, or this person like sees my worth, or whatever the case may be. And that's not a good way to live your life. I don't know if I love what's happening here, but yeah, we're kind of in it now, so I'm just gonna try to make it work. And I'm not going anywhere. This is just for fun, so we're just gonna see. I'm just like, oh, purple looks looks weird. Let me add some pink. This is all just guys for using this on my eyes. You see, it's called Skywalker. I've just become a parody of myself at this point. It's actually a highlighter, but you can use it on the eyes too. And it's so pretty. It's probably not showing up on camera at all, but it's got like this really beautiful blue shift to it. So anyway, I'm going very slowly with myself right now, and then we'll see, because there's like lots that I want to do. So like I said, I did National Novel Writing Month. I did the 50K, but my draft still isn't finished. I want to do that. I want to do more cross stitching. I keep saying I'm gonna start playing guitar again, and I don't do it, but I would like to. I would like to, and I've seen like some people on TikTok and stuff sharing like easy chords, so I'm kind of excited. I think I'm gonna like actually try at some point. At some point, she says. Yeah, see, I've just kind of made everything look a little bit muddy now, but we gotta roll with it. I blacked out, and look what I did with my brows. I did like a full, I don't even know what is happening. I've just done the bi-flag colors, I think, haven't I? I didn't mean to, but here we are. So yeah, I do have plans for the YouTube channel. A new Star Wars game is coming out in March, and nobody really watches my Let's Plays, but I kind of want to do that anyway. And I have kind of like more thought out videos that I want to do, but it's just that I've been like, oh, well, I want to read this book first, or I want to do more research first, and that kind of thing. Things that are like a little bit more planned out and thought out than me just talking at the camera. I think I'm not out of the woods yet, but I feel like I'm starting to feel like some excitement and some hope after a period of time where I just felt really, really hopeless. And I think now that I've realized I've done what I need to do for myself, and I'm doing what I need to do for myself. One thing that I need to work on is how I react or process the judgments of others, because, you know, people always like, especially people who don't know you very well, always ask about like work and, oh, what are you doing? And, you know, the real answer for me has just been like, I've just been getting better, trying to get better. So, you know, you either have to like keep it vague or lie if you don't want to get into the whole thing, or in my case, I've gotten into the whole thing with people and then they've either not understood or forgot about it, and then ask the same question again, and then me have to be like, actually, like, I'm not really up to code right now. Like, I'm not really up to like operating standards right now. It's very hard, I think, for people who haven't gone through it to understand, which is fine. Like not everybody is going to understand every life experience, and not everybody has to, but they do have to accept it. So that's just one of many things I'm working on with myself right now. So if you're struggling, you feel a burnout coming on, or you're like in that dark pit of one right now, I feel you. And I'm really sorry because it sucks. But I think I keep thinking about that like thing from The Last of Us, and I know it's like weird Firefly propaganda, but that like you have to look for the light. And I think in a weird way it's true. Like, especially when you're in a bad way, the good stuff is not like gonna appear to you automatically. You really do have to look for it. And it can be like little things, it can be materialistic things, whatever. Anyway, you know, originally when I was going to make this video, I was going to talk about like the beauty influencer space because there's some drama going on right now. But it's very interesting because I feel like if you lived through the YouTube era of beauty, like if you're a millennial like me and you know, started doing like makeup with the YouTube influencers, and now you're seeing the influencers on TikTok, and a lot of the debates and controversies are like things that have happened before, like influencers lying about sponsorships. Or I remember when the biggest drama was when Michelle Phan started to take sponsorships from Lancome, and like she disclosed them, I think, or at least most of them. Like she had these big openings in her video, like presented by Lancome or whatever. People were so mad. We didn't know how good we had it then, because at least she was like, at least she was telling us what she was doing, right? People don't even do that anymore, it feels like. Wild, absolutely wild. You're never too, or I'm never too burnt out to keep up with what's going on in the makeup influencer world, because it's just, I find it so fascinating. And it's one of those things that is very like therapeutic for me, even just watching somebody else do their makeup. So I don't know if anybody else out there feels the same. Maybe I've done the same for you right now, or you've been able to sit with a cup of tea or whatever and watch me mess around with my face. This look was not planned. This video was not scripted, if you couldn't tell that. I really have nothing to lose at this point, so I'm gonna go in with more of this Skywalker highlighter, and we're just gonna, oh, I took more than I needed for sure. That's okay. I want this all over my face. This is like the thing that makeup artists will tell you like is out, like this sort of like stripe motion. But I rarely wear highlighter, and I feel like when I do, it's like cream highlighter, it's very subtle. Where with this, like I kind of want that like stripe or moon shape on my face because I want that highlighter to be very visible. I hope you feel like so educated about burnout and that I've like changed your life with this video, or at least changed your life with this highlighter. Okay, well, hopefully I don't have to go anywhere later, or hopefully I do. I can't decide how I feel about any of what's going on here, but it was fun. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you when I see you.